Welcome to Purpose Partners for Life. I have a question for you. Think about your relationships. Is your relationship serving you well? Is it uplifting you? Is it giving you a joy? And is it helping you to grow? Or is it holding you back? And if it's holding you back, is it worth to saving those relationships? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I want a divorce. Is something you might say in a very dysfunctional relationship.
So is it worth staying in such a unloving, unhealthy, or sometimes even very toxic relationships?
Based on my previous experience, no, it's not. There's a number of reasons why it's not. But first thing I would say is why? Why would you do that?
I have this question, Laban, because I received a message from one of our followers. A young lady, she's saying, I've been in relationships for 6 years. We've been married for 3 years. We just had a baby. Our daughter is 3 months old. My husband started his new business. And just recently he told me that somehow he doesn't have any feelings towards me anymore. And she said, but he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to divorce. He just needs some space to think. And she just lost her sleep. She lost her appetite. She's losing her hair. She is losing her milk. She can't breastfeed. And she's trying to save her relationships. And she is asking, please help. How can I save it?
Man, I mean, talk about a challenging question to start off with. Having not been in that situation myself, thank God.
Are you sure?
I
feel like you lost a lot of hair.
I really do feel for both of both of the people in that situation. Without having any more context in the story, I would have to make an assumption that he's been feeling like that for quite some time. The timing of it, the timing of this is this may be a situation where they might have to learn the lessons the hard way. What I would encourage people to think about is being brave enough to make those kind of decisions long before there's any children involved. Because once you get kids involved, you are really tethered together for life, whether you decide to have something to do with the kids or not. So had this guy made the decision, which he probably has known for quite some time early on, then she wouldn't have the child, or they wouldn't have the child. She could go and find someone who did want her for her. Equally, he would have created the space in his life for him to go and find his purpose partner. So it's not great advice. If you guys are watching this, I'm sorry I can't give you any specific advice. The only thing that I would say, if you forced my hand, would be to do what you can to try and salvage this relationship. And if it requires getting some very targeted counseling, I wouldn't maybe go to a standard counselor for this. You're probably going to need some additional help, at least to minimize the damage of the separation, because breaking up in that manner is going to cause all kinds of challenges around when the kid's involved. And that I can speak from firsthand experience.
Do you think is it possible for him to gain his feelings back towards her?
My gut feeling would be no. However, that being said, I don't know anything about this guy, and you never know. I had a friend once who took a drug for hair loss, to prevent hair loss, and we didn't know this at the time. We only found it about 5 years later that the drug had this nasty side effect. And pro tip, guys, most of the allopathic medicine does have negative side effects, and it killed his entire sex drive. And we thought he was gay. And like,
I remember the story.
We didn't have a problem with it being gay at all. Who cares? But like, it was like he just wasn't with any women, and so we thought he might have been being secretive. Had he just said, to people that were his close friends, why don't, hey, just so you guys know, like, I took this drug and it's killed my sex drive. Like, if he had just shared that early on, back then we might have done a little bit of teasing or whatever, but like we would have understood what was going on and then gone into solution mode and maybe had ideas about how he could have come back from that. He eventually did, thankfully, and went on to have his own child with a woman, which is the only way possible, by the way. And but it just shows you the significance, the importance of just speaking up early. Like, you don't have to spend any emotional time or energy stressing out about something if you just get it off your chest long before you do that kind of damage.
And this situation sucks, especially when you have a 3-month-old baby and you can't feed your baby.
Mhm.
It's really sucks. So thank you so much for asking this question. But I have a question for this woman as well. Why do you have to stay and wait until he will decide whether he wants to stay or not? What about you? What about you, beautiful young woman? What do you want? And I know the situation is you might have problems with where to live, where to go. You won't be able to earn any income. You have a baby. But let's think about it. If you're staying in these relationships and waiting until he decides to come back or not, those kind of relationships will never be the same, because once it's happened, once you have a crack in the glass, it will always stay there. It's just a matter of time when you're gonna separate later or or sooner. And I feel like there will be always a game playing, like what's it called, this movie with the ice queen, Anna and Eliza, or
Frozen.
yeah.
Frozen. Honestly, why I've got young nieces and nephews.
You never know where he gonna get frozen again. And then the laugh is about two people sitting in a boat. And imagine if rowing together, and then you just decide, oh, you know what? Actually, I can't do this anymore. And so a woman who is trying to save this relationship, she starts rowing double speed, triple speed, hoping to reach out this island called love.
But she's just going to go in circles.
Exactly. Guess what? They're never gonna reach out this island. So, and if the man is asking for a space, you need to tell him, I need a space as well, because I need to think whether I want to continue these kind of relationships with you or not.
That goes back to my point regarding both. I'm sure both of them, if they took a cold hard look at themselves, and this is without any judgment, by the way, that there would have been a number of red flags that have been flying high for probably quite some time. Now, these are only just intuitive responses, but in terms of giving specific advice, I totally agree with you in terms of her pushing back as well, because you, as a man, if you get into a relationship and you become married and you have a child, I believe you have a commitment to that situation, and just deciding to want to stay in the relationship but then share that knowledge, it's like it's this is a challenging one. This is a very challenging one early on in the show.
There you go. I would say, I would add as well, not just push back, but really think about whether I want this man in my life. And also, if he decides to come back and stays, I don't know what he needs to do to prove that he is worth those kind of relationships, that he worth her.
Well, it depends whether something psychological has happened or something physical where it's, you know,
I agree. Like getting married and having a baby, woman's attention is going more to a baby. It's more about
well, I'm talking more about some kind of external impact on his body. Like if he injured himself at a work incident or playing sport or something, or he ingested something, you know, that the body's not supposed to have, and it had a really negative effect on his physiological state. Without knowing those parameters, it's very challenging, as I said, to try and give some solid advice. And not having gone through that, I would be hesitant to do that. But for those that aren't in that situation, that maybe you're in a relationship where, you know, there are some warning signs, and you ain't quite feeling it with your partner, maybe it's time to address those sooner rather than later.
and just always remember, you will find the relationships that are worthy, that are loving, that are deep and meaningful and beautiful, because we both have been in those kind of relationships where we were trying to save relationships, but instead of saving, we were just prolonging the pain, the painful moment where we have to leave, where we have to detach ourselves from this person. The longer you stay in those kind of relationships, the more hair you lose, the more weight you lose, the more appetite you lose, and sleep. You are getting more stressed. Your self-esteem is going completely down. You won't be able to look beautiful and energetic for the next relationships.
Yeah.
I hope that was helpful, but please let us know, what are your thoughts? What would you do in this situation, even if you haven't experienced this before? But how would you proceed with those kind of relationships?
If you would like more of these kind of videos, don't forget to give us a like, and don't forget to include your comments in there, like Anna just mentioned. Share this with someone that you think might need some help. Share this with someone you care about. It really helps the channel grow. Sending you lots of love and abundance from Laban and Anna.
And bye for now.